Hallelujah, Shemesh v'Yoreach. Hallelujah, Kol Kofeo. Hallelujah, Shmei Hashamayim ve'Amayim. Asher me'al Hashamayim. Yeah, hallelujah, et Shem Adonai ki utziva v'nivro v'yom idem le'ad le'olam chach natan v'lo yavo. Yeah, hallelujah, et Shem Adonai ki utziva v'nivro v'yom idem le'ad le'olam chach natan v'lo yavo. Oh
רגליך הינום שומרך הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל אדוני שומרך אדוני צילך על יד ימינך יומם השמש לא יכך ירח בלילה אדוני ישמרך מקרוב ישמור את נפשך אדוני ישמור צדקך וברך מעתה ועד עולם מעתה ועד עולם
Hana בכוח כדלת ימינך תתיר צרורה קבר עינת עמך סגבנו תרנו נורא נגיבור ראשי ייחודך כבבת שומרי ברכם תהרם רחמי צדיקך תמיד גומלם חסיד קדוש ברוב תוכה נאל עדתך יחיד גאה לעמך פנה זוכרי קדושתך שבתנו קבל ושמע צעקתנו יודע תלומות ענה בכוח גדולה ימינך תתיר צרורה קבל רינת עמך סגבנו תהרנו נורא נגיבור דורשי ייחודך כבבת שומרי ברכם תהרם רחמי צדקתך תמיד גומלם
Please join me in your Yom Kippur Machzorim, your Yom Kippur prayer books on page 9, where you'll find the blessing of the Yom Tov, the Yom Kippur lights, led by Roberta Neymark and Phyllis Nalick, our sisterhood presidents.
Of God, searching out what lies within us. Guided by the flame of conscience, on this sacred night, we search for truth.
Shine your light upon us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love.
We light the flame of healing and forgiveness. On this atonement night, we give thanks for love.
Adonai, Eloheinu, melech haolam, shehechianu, v'kimanu, v'higianu, v'azman hazeh.
Amen. Please rise on page 16.
Avinu Malkeinu Choneinu Vaneinu Ki ein banu maasim Aseh imanu tzedakah Aseh imanu chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu
Yeshiva shel mala u'biyeshiva shel mata, al da'at hamakom, ve'al da'at hakahal, anu matirim lehit palel, im ha'avaryanim. With one voice, assembled sages past and present declare, all may pray as one on this night of repentance. Let none be excluded from our community of prayer. With one voice, God and congregation proclaim, all may pray as one on this day of return. Let all find a place in this sacred assembly.
ad Yom velo kayamin nidra la nidre ve'esarana le'esare o shevuatana la
Together with me in the middle of page 18. All vows, resolves, and commitments, vows of abstinence and terms of obligation, sworn promises and oaths of dedication, that we promise and swear to God and take upon ourselves from this day of atonement until next day of atonement, may it find us well. We regret them, and for all of them we repent. Let all of them be discarded and forgiven, abolished and undone. They are not valid, and they are not binding. Our vows shall not be vows, our resolves shall not be resolves, and our oaths shall not be oaths. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now in keeping with your boundless love. And God responded, I forgive as you have asked. On page 22. You may be seated on page 25. Day and night are yours, creative spirit of the universe, the muted colors of twilight, the radiance of dawn. Yours are the spreading wings of light, the deepening shadows of darkness, an ever-changing drama. Together, in the human heart, too, the struggle between darkness and light unfolds, From sunlit heights of generosity, the human heart sinks to the gloomy depths of selfishness. Although we fall, you give us strength to rise again. You call on those who hurt through word or deed to break free from wrongdoing and return to you. All who hear your call to goodness are embraced, and all who reject emptiness and evil find acceptance from you. We come into your presence this night of Kol Nidre, aware that our shortcomings and weaknesses are many. Yet, encouraged by your promise of forgiveness, we choose freely the path of repentance, restoring wholeness to our lives and holiness to the world. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dusk.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha avta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shachbeinu v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shoftecha u'v'kulecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotavot bein einecha u'chatavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kirushim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Responsively on page 39. Our sages taught it is proper to mention the exodus from Egypt in our morning prayers and also at night.
We celebrate the going out from Egypt in the morning light, full of confidence and vigor as we enter the new day.
But in the evening, weary from the day's exertions, cast down and fearful at the coming of the night, what can the exodus teach us then? Our nighttime prayers brings hope and trust in the future, as God did not abandon our people long ago through the long, dark night of exile. So the Holy One will be with us in time to come, to stand by the one you love. That is the true essence of faithfulness, the meaning of emunah. So it is written in the Psalms, to proclaim your kindness in the morning and your faithfulness in the nights. Sing with joy in the mornings of your life, when light surrounds you and the world seems beautiful and good, and in the evenings of your life, when you dwell in sorrow and the world seems dark, do not despair.
הים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלה מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני. ברוך הוא ברוך שמו גאל ישראל.
Amen. Page 42. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. With power sublime, spread over us your shelter of shalom, and through your wisdom, restore us, make us whole. Baruch atah Adonai hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed One, you spread over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. Page 45, together at the top. For on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai.
Vayom hazeh yechaper aleichem letaher וקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
בעלמא תברח ילדותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייך וביומך, ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו.
Amen. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם, ולעולמי הוויה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה לילה ולילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירה בעלמה ויאמרו
Page 46. Adonai svatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, V'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, U'mevii gula libnei b'neihem, L'ma'an shemo be'ahava. Be'ezrat Sarah. Amen. Ata gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayek metim atarav lehoshia. מחלחל חיים בחסד, בחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורפא חולים,
matir asorim kayem emunato lishene ava mi chamocha ba'gvurot melech memit u'mechayev u'matzmiach Yeshua michamocha el harachamim zocher yizurav lechayim berachamim v'ne'eman ata lehachayot metim. Baruch ata Adonai mechayeh hametim.
Page 53. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. You are holy, your name is holy. Seekers of holiness, praise you day by day. Selah. How do we sense God's holiness? Through awe. And so in your holiness, give all creation the gift of awe. Turn our fear to reverence. Let us be witnesses of wonder, perceiving all nature as a prayer come alive. We bow to the sovereignty of your strength, the primacy of your power. We yearn for connection with all that lives, doing your will with wholeness of heart. Awe-inspiring is your creation, all-encompassing your transcendent name. How do we sense God's holiness? Through honor, together. And so, in your holiness, give your people the gift of honor. Bless with praise those who praise you. Bless with hope those who seek you. Give your believers a basis for faith. True happiness for the land of Israel. True joy in Jerusalem. May the sparks of David, your servant, soon grow bright enough for us to see a beam of light in the darkness, a promise of perfection. Page 56, how do we sense God's holiness? Through righteousness. And so in your holiness, give the righteous the gift of a vision bright with joy, a world where evil has no voice, and the rule of malevolence fades like wisps of smoke. Good people everywhere will celebrate the stunning sight of arrogance gone from the earth. Page 58. You and you alone, Adonai, will reign over creation upon Mount Zion, home of your presence, and in Jerusalem, a city set apart by you, as the psalmist believed. Adonai will reign eternally, your God Zion, for all generations. Hallelujah. Together, you are holy, your name is awe. There is nothing divine beyond you, as the prophet Isaiah taught. The source of all might is exalted through justice, the God of holiness made holy through righteousness. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh. Blessed are you, Adonai, holy sovereign. Page 63. Responsively. Like smoke above the altar, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. As Israel once came to you
with offerings from the flock, so we bring to you the offerings of our mouth, not lip service, but heartfelt prayer.
So the prophet taught, return, O Israel, to Adonai your God, for you have fallen because of your sin. Take words with you and return to Adonai.
Accept the words we set before you,
awkward and imperfect as they are, our hesitant questions, our corrosive doubts, accept too our silences, our thoughts that rise in the stillness, our faith that coheres for a fragile instant, then dissipates like smoke above the altar.
Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Ve'imotenu, Ya'alev, Yavo, Ve'yagia, Ve'yera'eh, Ve'yeratzeh, Ve'yishama, Ve'yipakeh, Ve'yizachem zikronenu, Ufikdonenu, V'zichron avotenu, V'imotenu, V'zichron Yerushalayim ir kodshecha, V'zichron kol amecha beit Yisrael, Lefanecha livleto, Litova, Lechein ul chesed ul rachamim, Lechaim ul shalom, Bayom HaKippurim hazeh. Zochrenu Adonai Eloheinu, Bo litova.
Amen.
Uvotenu vo livracha.
Amen.
V'hoshienu vo lechaim.
Eternal our God, remember us, be mindful of us, and redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Amen. Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with grace and compassion. Page 66. Our God and God of our forebears, pardon our failings on this day of atonement, erase our misdeeds, see beyond our defiance. For Isaiah said in your name, it is I alone, who wipe away your defiant acts. This is my essence. I shall pay no heed to your errors. And the prophet said, as a cloud fades away, as mist dissolves into air, so your wrongs and mistakes shall be gone. I will wipe them away. Come back to me, that I may redeem you. And as you said to Moses, for on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai. Page 68.
Eloheinu, Ve'Elohei Avotenu V'imotenu, Kadshenu b'mitzvotecha, V'tein chelkenu b'toratecha, Sabeinu mituvecha, V'sacheinu b'shuatecha, V'tahel libeinu le'odecha, 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 le'odecha be'emet, Ki ata socha Yisrael, U'mochol le'shiv te'yishurun, Bechol dor vador, U'mibaladecha, Ein lanu melech mochel, V'soleach ela ata, Baruch ata Adonai, Melech mochel v'soleach la'avotenu v'la'avonot, Amo beit Yisrael, Uma'avir ashmotenu b'chol shana v'shana, melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. Melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. Melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. V'yom HaKippurim.
You are blessed, Adonai, sovereign, who forgives our failings and pardons the failings of your people, the house of Israel. You banish our guilt from year to year. You reign in majesty over all the earth. You sanctify the people Israel and the day of atonement. Page 72.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ava tekaber u'tehil ratzon Tamid avodat Yisrael. Yisrael Amecha. Karov lecha, korav pnei alavadecha, v'choneinu. Shafach ruachacha aleinu, v'techezena edeinu, v'shuvecha
Page 75. It doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot or a few small stones. Just pay attention. Then patch a few words together and don't try to make them elaborate. This isn't a contest, but the doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak.
Shalom Ra Yisrael Amcha Tasid Leolam.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasid Leolam Ki Atahu Melech Adon
בטוחו בשלומך.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום, ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה, ברכה ושלום נזכר ונכתב לפניך, אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל.
We share a few moments now in silence. We continue now with Vidui, our confessional prayers, which begin on page 82, and we rise.
Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Tavo lefanecha, tefilate. וכשעורב לומר לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל
Together, our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. On page 83, when I was young and learned the alphabet, life was open to me. A was full of aspiration, B was for beauty, C for confidence, and D for dreams, and so on through the list. No fewer than 26 opportunities, 26 possibilities. And yet I fear that with the passage of time, I've squandered them, creating instead A's of apathy, B's of brusqueness, and C's of coarseness. Help me then to return to that innocence. Let the letters be letters once again, and let them rise to the heavens and form into the words that you know I wish to say. I, I, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, Hevinu, Vehirshanu, Zadnu, Hamasnu, Tafanu Sheker, Yatsnura, Kizavnu, Latsnu, Maradnu, Niatsnu, Sararnu, Avinu, Hashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu Oref, Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Ta'inu, Titanu, Please join me in English and Hebrew responsively on page 86. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bezadon uvishgaga, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bedibur peh. The ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha be'imut halev, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha betipshut peh. The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechachash uvechazav, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha birchilut. The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha biflilut, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bezilzul horim umorim. The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bevidui peh, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha behona'at re'ah. The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechozek yad, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'masau v'matan. The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and harms we have caused in your world through dishonesty and business. Ve'al kulam eloah salichot, salach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. On page 89, responsively with me. We wrong you when we wrong ourselves. For our failures of integrity, Adonai, we seek forgiveness.
For passing judgment without knowledge of the facts, and for distorting facts to suit our purposes.
For succumbing in silence to social pressure, and for acquiescing in beliefs we find offensive.
For using others' bad behavior to excuse our own, and for blaming others for our mistakes and poor decisions.
For pretending to emotions we do not feel, and for appearing to be other than what we are.
For condemning in our children the faults we tolerate in ourselves, and for tolerating in ourselves the faults we condemn in our parents.
We dishonor you when we dishonor our society. For our failures of justice, Adonai, we seek forgiveness.
For making indifferent to deprivation and hunger, while accepting a culture of self-indulgence and greed.
For abuse of power in boardrooms, courtrooms, and classrooms, and for accepting the neglect of children and elders, the ill.
For permitting social inequalities to prevail, and for lack of vision to transcend our selfishness.
For glorifying violence and turning hastily to war, and for allowing history to repeat itself. For behaviors that risk the future of our planet, and for wreaking havoc on our only true inheritance, God's creation. On page 91, we sin against you when we hurt one another. For our failures of love, Adonai, we seek forgiveness.
For exploiting another for our own pleasure, and for the wounds we cause through betrayal and deception.
For withholding affection from those we claim to love, and for using love to control our spouses and partners, our children and parents. For abandoning friends and siblings whose love has sustained us, and for neglecting those who love us when they need us most, for harboring in our relationships mistrust, boredom, and disloyalty, and for rejecting our partner's efforts at repair and renewal, for possessiveness,
jealousy,
for lashing out
in
in anger.
at those who are closest to us.
Ve'al kulam Eloah salichot, salach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these wrongs, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Page 98. Hear our call, Adonai, our God. Show us compassion. Accept our prayer with love and goodwill. Take us back, Adonai. Let us come back to you. Renew our days as in the past.
Adonai Eloheinu, Huz verachem aleinu, aleinu, v'kabel berachamim, berachamim, uvratzon, et tefillatenu. Hashivenu Adonai elecha, Hashivenu elecha v'nashuva, Chodesh yameinu, yameinu, kekedem. Shema koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Huz verachem aleinu, aleinu, v'kabel berachamim, berachamim, uvratzon, et tefillatenu.
on page 100. God of forgiveness, we come before you in need of compassion. At Sinai, you spoke words that guide our lives to this day, but our ancestors lost faith in you, lost hope in their Redeemer. With one voice, they had promised, "We will do and obey." And yet, stiff-necked, they broke their word, adoring an idol of gold. How wondrous your compassion in the face of their rebellion, your forgiveness in that moment of human weakness and doubt. Together, we too have broken promises to you. We too worship the work of our own hands. We too make of gold a god, and we too forsake your word. At Sinai, you revealed 13 attributes of mercy. These aspects of your nature, your very essence, we now recall. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzer Chesed la'alafim, Nosei Avon v'Fesha v'Chata'a v'Nakeh. Together, Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon. Page 105, responsively. In all your ways be aware of God, for there is no sovereign without a people, ein melech belo am. We are the chariot on which God's glory rides, for there is no sovereign
without a people.
Let the love of God be spread through our deeds, for there is no sovereign without a people. You are my servant, Israel. I will be glorified through you, for there is no sovereign without a people. Where is God? Anywhere we let God in, for there is no sovereign without a people. Ein melech belo am. Eternal God, you revealed to Moses your 13 attributes of mercy. They exist in the world through our awareness. They transform the world through our actions. We speak them now as a prayer and aspiration. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon. Page 107, responsively. We are insolent, but you are compassionate and gracious.
We are stubborn, stiff-necked, but you are slow to anger.
We persist in doing wrong, but you are the essence of mercy.
Our days are a shadow passing by, but you are existence itself, your years never ending.
Together, Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon.
Adonai, 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 El Rachum v'Chanun, chesed ve'emet.
On page 113, we rise. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Some of us have cancer. Some of us have lost strength of body. Some have lost memory and speech. Some of us are in pain. Some can't find work. Some of us bear the marks of human cruelty inside, where the scars don't show. Some live with depression. Some battle addiction. Many feel alone. Some have known shattered marriages, trust betrayed, hopes destroyed. Some of us have lost the ones we love far too soon, and some of us have lost a child. All of us have seen suffering in our midst. All of us know the ravages of war for which there are no words. Avinu Malkeinu, why? Avinu Malkeinu, are you there? Do you care? Avinu Malkeinu, hear our pain, hear our anger, hear our grief. Avinu Malkeinu, here is our prayer. Give us the strength to go on. Give us reasons to get up each day. Give us purpose and persistence. Help us to fend off fear and to hold on to hope. Help us to be kind. Don't make us bow or grovel for your favor. Give us dignity and give us courage. Together, Avinu Malkeinu, show us the way to a year of goodness. Renew our belief that the world can be better. Restore our faith in life. Restore our faith in you. When my son Gabriel was about 4, my parents joined us one evening at Mr. Chan's, which was our favorite Chinese restaurant in Baltimore. We were seated at the only circular table in the front, so we were feeling lucky. The waiter came over and started to take our order. We always got steamed dumplings. Naturally, she asked, did we want pork or veggie? We said veggie, and suddenly Gabriel chimed in, because we're vegetarians and we're saving the world. Saving the world was how Mark and I explained our eating choices to our children when they were little. We were vegetarian because we felt a responsibility to our planet. And here Gabe was, cute thing, preaching that gospel to the world. In the 16 years since that night, saving the world doesn't feel so cute. It feels acute. The ravages of climate change, about which we were worried then, are clear and even more frightening now. Back then, we couldn't have even imagined all the ways that democracy in America would be crumbling, or how around the world fundamentalism and authoritarian forms of government would become mainstream, even in traditionally progressive places like Sweden. While anti-Semitism was always real theoretically, I never dreamed temples would turn into targets, requiring enormous resources dedicated to security, some even subsidized by our federal government. 16 years ago, people were agitating for the rolling back of reproductive rights for women, but I naively believed that would remain settled law. Today, as you all know, a woman's right to make choices about her body is just the first of freedoms the current Supreme Court may well overturn. As resources become more scarce and failed governments feed the steady flow of refugees, nations have become increasingly intolerant. Tensions are hot between superpowers. An active land war in Europe marches on, while friction between America and China increases. To think of it all is overwhelming and crushingly scary. So what should I tell my children today about how we're going to save the world? In their lifetimes, they've heard it all. Reduce, reuse, recycle, upcycle when you can. Eat slow food, eat local food. Practice mindfulness meditation. Buy electric cars. Invest in solar and wind energy. Live off the grid. Give up to the right charities. And most of all, never miss an opportunity to vote. And while all of these commitments are noble and important, it is increasingly hard to believe fervently that these remedies will make a dent and move us forward. Being conscious in our consumer preferences or lifestyle habits, our eating habits, might make us feel better, but will they really make a difference in solving today's global challenges? It reminds me of the guy who was standing in the middle of Manhattan hitting the street with a stick, and a policeman came over and asked him what he was doing since he was disrupting the flow of traffic. And the man told the policeman he was hitting the street to keep the elephants away. The police officer told him he was crazy. There were no elephants within thousands of miles of Manhattan. And the guy looked at the cop and said, "See, it's working." The sheer enormity of what our planet is facing today, the fact that these are not local problems but worldwide problems, prove that they will not be solved by one person or even one nation. What this moment of global crisis requires is a global awakening and a paradigm shift. In their book, Good Society, sociologist Robert Bellah and his co-authors put their fingers on what might be at the heart of why America doesn't seem to be leading that charge of awakening and changing the paradigm. They write that the America we live in today is currently seeing a surge in homelessness, rising gaps between rich and poor, a crumbling infrastructure, and impending ecological disaster. But Americans are responding with apathy, frustration, cynicism, and retreat, each into our private worlds. As the authors see it, these challenges exist not only because our institutions are failing to act to address these problems, but because we are failing to realize the extent and degree to which we, in a democratic society, can influence these institutions for the good. And at the heart of the paralysis is America's long-abiding allegiance to individualism, the belief that the good society is the one in which individuals are left free to pursue their private satisfactions independently of others. Instead of seeing ourselves as a collective rising and falling together, we have built a culture and institutions that privilege personal success, individual well-being, and self-fulfillment. This way of thinking in our national discourse evolved quite naturally. Our country's 18th century founders promised an unheard of degree of individual freedom, an unlimited opportunity to compete for material well-being, and an unprecedented limitation on the arbitrary powers of government to interfere with individual initiative. However, while our nation's founders emphasized the freedom of individuals to pursue their own ends, they also assumed that our individualism would be tempered by a public spirit, and that concern for the common good would permeate our social institutions. The ideal of the autonomous individual in the 18th century was embedded in a complex moral ecology that included family and church on the one hand, and on the other, a vigorous public sphere in which economic initiative, it was hoped, would grow together with public spirit. It is precisely this sense of common purpose and public spirit, crucial to the guidance of institutions in a democracy, that is missing, absent from our society today. While we are all sitting alone on our Pelotons or streaming programs on our personal computers, the workings of our collective institutions, the economy and the government, grind on without us. A ruthless market economy based only in self-interest reigns supreme in both the private sphere and the public sphere, leaving no one minding the store or advocating for the well-being of the whole. The mighty dollar, and who gets it, trumps it all. To fix all of this, Bella and his fellow sociologists claim is for us to begin shedding, giving up our individualistic blinders, and learn to pay attention to the ways in which we are inextricably interconnected and therefore responsible for our collective fate. They advocate beginning by practicing participatory democracy in all aspects of our lives, within our family circles and our places of work and our social institutions, so that we can strengthen these muscles and bring them to bear in our civic lives. Their thinking is that the more we see ourselves as part of and invested in collective pursuits, the more we will be able to participate and influence our public institutions for the better. Nowhere is the need more evident to reinvigorate this than in an international sphere, where problems are beyond the capacity of any one nation to solve. The dynamics of a vast world market cannot be controlled by the actions of any single nation state. Environmental pollution transcends national boundaries. The proliferation of nuclear weapons threatens the security of the entire world. Vast disparities in global wealth and power destabilize economic health and political security around the planet. In a world of increasing complexity and interdependence, we can no longer afford to go our own way. Rather, we need to exercise our capacity for developing institutions that recognize our interconnectedness, moving towards the creation of a good society, Bella writes, where the common good is the pursuit of the good in common. What the sociologists are suggesting makes sense intellectually. The problem is that we humans don't always act in our own self-interest based on facts presented to us. We know definitively that smoking will kill us, and people still smoke. The science is clear that the health and nutrition provided to babies in their first 1,000 days directly impact their chances to succeed for the rest of their lives. And that fact notwithstanding, we still allowed millions of children in this country to go without proper nutrition. And this goes on for generations. As everyone who's followed the research or even occasionally picked up a copy of Psychology Today knows, any graduate student with a clipboard can demonstrate that reasonable-seeming people are often totally irrational because their beliefs are far more entrenched and compelling than facts put on the table before them. And today, we see how harmful some beliefs can be. There's no doubt that the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th fervently believed that the election was stolen. No number of facts could change their minds, and consequently, they acted violently because of a factually incorrect belief. The people who want to ban abortions fervently believe all abortion is murder and that that is a fact. But it's not a fact. Religious Jews don't believe it is murder. I don't believe that all abortion is murder. And the majority of Americans probably don't believe that all abortion is murder, or that doctors and mothers and people who assist should be accused of feticide. Let me suggest an alternative fact, that the attempt of the abortion lobby to impose its belief on tens of millions of Americans is, as we speak, ruining lives and tearing the country apart. No one would dare call it here this, but how different is this from the morality police in Iran that is ruining people's lives there and tearing their country apart? But what if it was possible to harness the power of a compelling belief for the good and our world? What if there was a core belief that we could all get behind and which might promote the ultimate paradigm shift and awakening that could heal and save the world? I'm going out on a limb, friends, and I'm going to suggest one. I think we all need to think like mystics. No, we need to become mystics. If sociologists can talk about restoring the common good to our thinking, instead of subscribing to a misguided sense of individualism, as a rabbi, as a Jew, I would argue we need to open our eyes and awaken our hearts to the deep truth. And here I might be talking about truth with a capital T, that there is no such thing as an individual. That's the claim of the mystic. There is no you, and there's no me. There's only all of it. And that everything is inextricably bound in a web of interbeing. Or as Martin Buber once said, we live our lives inscrutably included within the streaming mutual life of the universe. Let me repeat that. We live our lives inscrutably included within the streaming mutual life of the universe. Consequently, when I'm not whole, there is no wholeness. There's no good for me without considering whether it is good for us. Or one might even say we must rewire our brains in the sublime image of the Shema, that everything is God and everything is one. Menachem Nahum of Chernobyl, a student of the Baal Shem Tov, famously summed up the project of the mystic in this way. He asked, "What is the world? The world is God, wrapped in robes of God, so as to appear material. And who are we? We are God, wrapped in robes of God, and our task is to unwrap the robes and thus discover that we and all the world are God." Even if you are an atheist and believe that God is nothing more than a three-letter word, you can still join me in the mystic's approach. You can still discover the unity and interrelatedness of all things. Each and every one of us can discover the illusion that I am separate from you and you are separate from me is just an illusion. All life, all being is connected. John Muir came to that conclusion in his vast experiences in nature. He wrote, "When we try to pick anything out by itself, we find it hitched to everything else in the universe. One fancies a heart like our own must be beating in every crystal and cell, and we feel like stopping to speak to the plants and animals as friendly fellow mountaineers. Nature as poet, as an enthusiastic working man, becomes more and more visible the farther and higher we go, for the mountains are fountains, beginning places, however related to sources beyond mortal ken." John Muir's observations teach me and others that he was a religious prophet, a person whose relationship with the natural world disrobed the false belief that we are separate from anything, and that in reality we exist in relationship with a source beyond our mortal ken. And because of that deep knowing, Muir became not only one of the most influential people in the world of environmental activism, but also the reason we preserve all the wondrous natural treasures in our national parks. He believed like a mystic, and he changed the world. "We can only see what we've grown an eye to see," wrote E.F. Schumacher. And I confess that my many teachers preached to me the concept that everything is God and nothing but God for over a decade before I had the experience and maturity for it to ring true in my own mind and heart. I don't know if something like this happened to you, but after the first few months of the pandemic, ironically at the height of our collective separation, I realized I'd grown the eye to see how inseparable we actually are. I'm sure I'm not the only one for whom the pandemic was glaring evidence of just how interconnected the world is and should be, and that our individual behavior is never private, but affects everyone around us. But in the thick of all that uncertainty and fear and death, I found deep comfort and truth in knowing that my suffering and pain was not mine alone. It belonged to the whole world, and we were all feeling it together, simultaneously. And if everyone was feeling what I was feeling, then I wasn't alone, even though I was pretty much cooped up alone in my home. We were all sharing the same fate, however it turned out. And if that is true during a pandemic, then it is true at every other moment. I know what you're thinking, because we're all wired to think it. How can it be that there's no me and no you? I feel like a me, and you look like a you. That's part of the design, people, according to our tradition. Rabbi Menachem Nahum of Chernobyl affirms that the world does appear to be separate from me, but its true nature is hidden in robes that are concealing it. The robes, the distortions, are essentially our perceptions, our views, our opinions about the world. And that's why our mission in life is to accustom ourselves to seeing past the robes, to seeing the interconnectedness, the unity that overcomes our core feelings of alienation and our belief in separation and individualism. Because you see, the dark side of individualism is that it does leave us feeling alone and separate. And those feelings breed fear and distrust, and that's what leads to all the ills of society we know so well. They cause us to build walls and keep out everyone and everything that feels dangerous or other or alien to us, which ironically deepens our sense of alienation and separateness. It leads to the scary faults that we see in our world right now. The most famous story attributed to Reb Chaim of Ramshashak, an early 19th century storyteller in Lithuania, is about a young student who wanted to know what heaven and hell were like. And an angel acceded to her request and brought her first to hell. And the first thing she noticed was the food. I'm sorry to say it on Yom Kippur, but the food. Banquet tables everywhere, laden with every possible delicacy and steaming platters of food and delectable aromas wafted through the halls of hell. But then she noticed the people, glum and bitter and miserable. And then she understood why. Large wooden spoons were strapped onto everyone's arms up past the elbow so that they couldn't bend their arms to put any of that tasty food into their mouths. And so they were all starving amidst all of that plenty. When the student arrived at the entrance to heaven, she was taken aback because the scene was identical. The same banquet tables, the same delicacies, steaming platters, the same large wooden spoons strapped on everybody's arms. But nothing was glum about heaven. There was singing and talking and laughing. Why? Because the people in heaven figured out that they could feed one another, even with those nasty spoons strapped to their arms. They could still feed one another. This is a story I remember my dad telling when I was little at Temple. And so maybe I've been a mystic since then. But then and now, I believe, truly, that this world is a virtual hell if the premise is that we're alone and have to go it alone, that we must be only self-sufficient, pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. It might appear as if each of us is the master of his own fate, but so much more is beyond our control. Instead, like the story, I guess what I've always believed is that we'll never enjoy the abundance and blessings laid before us without helping each other, without seeing that my happiness derives not from feeding myself or worrying about my hunger, but in finding ways for everybody to be fed. My well-being comes not from being able to afford the health care I need, but in finding ways for every man, woman, and child to have the health care they need. My security comes not from building a home surrounded by gardens and trees and fresh air, but from assuring that everyone has a safe place to live, where the air is pure and where animals and plants and trees can thrive as well. We Jews believe that the world out there is a space in which we meet others and take responsibility and get involved and do all that we can do to prevent harm and to promote well-being for everyone. And the Talmud makes this crystal clear in its discussions about lost property. If you lose something in the park and I find it, I can't walk on by. I'm obligated to search out the owner and return it. I'm not permitted to deliberate on whether I have time to track down its owner. I'm not at liberty to decide to act or not act depending on whether it belongs to my friend or somebody I don't really like, or whether it's valuable enough for me to bother. The rabbis mandate that it's a Jew's moral responsibility not to be indifferent, not to let anything or anyone remain lost. On this sacred eve of Kol Nidre, I've gone out on a limb, and with your blessings, I'm going to go out on another by suggesting that each of one of us decides we can lose this one thing: the belief in individualism. We need to shed our attachment to being separate selves, not only to put ourselves in service to others, but ultimately so we can be touched by each other. Let us believe, as the mystics did, that our deepest human desire is to find the ways that we can put all the seemingly separate parts and pieces back together and bring wholeness and unity within ourselves, within one another, and with the divine. Admittedly, it is unsettling to believe that we must depend on each other, that we're all in this together. It leaves us exposed to the possibility that someone else will drop the ball and I'll fall through the cracks into the abyss. But the truth is that underneath it all, when we take off the robes, as Emmanuel Levinas said, exposed and vulnerable, that is the human condition. We are always exposed and vulnerable. Erecting walls around us provides little protection from the realities of life. To me, walls signify aloneness and sound more like hell than heaven. Why not just let everything touch us? How about staking our future on the belief not that we are all the same, but that we are all part of a greater whole, an intricate, beautiful web of interconnection and interdependence, just as God looked at the whole of creation and said, "It is good." Not this part of creation or that part, all of it. Not this race or that race, every race. Not this nation or that, all of them. Let us save our one world from becoming the hell we often see by living our lives by the truth of our ultimate unity, our intrinsic mutuality. Let us be mystics who see past ourselves to see that everyone and everything are part of us. Let us be mystics who look at it all and see oneness. Let us be mystics, and perhaps we might save the world. We turn now in our Machzorim to page 116 as we rise for Aleinu. At the top, Paul.
lo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechohamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu.
May the time not be distant, our God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when lies and bigotry shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. So may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your dominion be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. As it has been said, Adonai shall reign over all the earth. On that day Adonai shall be one, and God's name shall be one. Adonai. Page 120. We stand as one on this night of remembrance, united in grief, united in loss, united in the power of a promise. God has made us, God will sustain us. We give praise to this life and rise up together to renew our strength. We rise on page 122 for the Mourner's Kaddish as we thank God for the gifts of life and memory. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirtei be'amlich malchutei, b'chayei v'yomei b'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam l'almei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei t'kisha brichu le'ela ule'ela mikol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen.
Shalom. Gudjenta. My name is Gaia Goldman. I'm here as president of the board at CBHT. I would like to share some announcements. Services resume tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Rows will be reserved in the sanctuary should you choose to spend the first part of the morning in the music and meditation service in Unger Hall with Billy Jonas. It's not too late to make contributions to our Manna food drive. We will celebrate Erev Sukkot on Sunday, October 9th at 6:30 and at 10 a.m. on Monday, October 10th. Please join us to shake the lulav, enjoy a musical service, and the Monday service will be followed by a dairy potluck brunch/lunch in the sukkah. The following Sunday evening, October 16th at 5:30, the JCC is hosting our first community Simchat Torah experience. Come and enjoy workshops, noshing, and celebrating the ending and beginning of our yearly cycle of Torah reading. Thank you to Francis Duff for the beautiful cello rendition of Kol Nidre. Thank you to our special High Holiday Sacred Music team, directed by Sarah Kim Senor, accompanist Kyle Ritter, student cantor Seth Kellum, Kol Simcha, and ensemble whose names are listed in your programs. Thank you to Marty Gillen and to Debbie Cooper, who lovingly compiled the Roll of Remembrance video for tomorrow's Yizkor service. Thank you to Harris Livingston, Shannon Tuck, Pam Shelton, Jackie Childs, Tikkun Gottschalk, David Sellerman, and Josh Winocor for greeting all of us at the door, and to the safety committee members, Don Nalick, Marvin Wolf, Nat Cohen, Rich Eichen, Jack Klein, Darren Green, Eric Neymark, and Raymond Capeluto, who are assisting our officers in minding our security throughout these Holy Day services. And finally, thank you to our amazing stream team, the dynamic father and son duo of Kevin and Asher Ring, for helping make services accessible to all of the members of our congregation. Following our closing song, please remain standing for the benediction.
It's here somewhere. 127, please rise. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Return to the land of your soul.
Yehi ratzon milefanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu shetechadesh aleinu shana tova umtuka. Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a sweet year. Shana tova tikatevu v'techatemu. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good year. Good Yantif. Oh my God.